all about Symbian and mobile industry review.
My name is Christof Hellmis. I'm based in Berlin for Nokia. And I'm running the product development of our location products, most prominent one being OV Maps.
So traditionally, Navtec's been on a 6-month update cycle. Have you asked them to sort of improve that so you can have almost continuous updates, given that a lot of OV Maps is delivered over the air?
Yes. Navtec delivers roughly 4 releases a year, but it's obvious that the way how maps have been delivered in the past as discrete, DVD sets, this is an overcome concept, and in the future, a live service will have the ability to update much quicker. And yes, this is one of the key areas where we work with Navtec very closely together to have some sort of incremental updating of map data available and enabled.
And in talking about map coverage, one of the key points at the launch of Map was the wide range of global coverage.
Yes.
Can you tell us how many countries you have people using OV Maps in?
I think it's more a question. I think it's easier to count how many countries people are not using OV Maps. I think it's Korea, because there we don't have maps. I think it's Japan, there we don't have maps, and
Israel.
and Israel, where we don't have maps. So I think we see users of maps in every other country. There's not a single country where maps is not being used. Of course, the intensity varies, and it goes a lot along with our strengths of device business. But I think that's natural.
So with the OV Maps install base climbing, one of the things we're expecting to see going forward is the OV Developer SDK and the ability to build apps on maps.
Yes.
What sort of timeline can we expect to see that sort of thing, and what sort of solutions will we be seeing?
That's an interesting question. We're working very hard to mature it and productize it, and our plan is something in the second half to give something out on real devices working, so that you will see then, and from day one have already some compelling applications on top of the OV SDK running.
And do you see that as the way to add the sort of compelling features? For example, with Maps, one of the number one customer desires at the moment is to have accurate public transport information, sort of the multimodal transport information, and that's clearly an important part of OV Maps going forward.
Yes. Yes, you will see also there will be multiple roles. Probably you will find more, let's say, static information, like a basic tube planner or something, maybe being part of a map, right? But as you saw already in September at Nokia World, when we launched the closed beta for OV SDK, we had like Deutsche Bahn as one partner, and they do public transport for all over Germany. So you could see in real time where the trains and the buses are, but you could also go around use cases where you say, I'm arriving at a station and I want to rent a bike, because Deutsche Bahn also operates a bike rental service, and they also operate a car rental service. So it's really about multimodal enablement of a multimodal use case, but it's provided and operated by Deutsche Bahn. It's their look and feel, their use case. They know best how to do it on top of the OV SDK.
And can you tell us about the technologies that's built on top of?
It's standard web technology, so it's scripting, it's not coding, we say it's scripting. Our players have JavaScript APIs, and if you use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you're done.
And that also ties into the web version of OV Maps as well.
That's the true promise of our OV SDK, which uses web technologies and spans across everything. Our goal is clearly everything that is W3C compatible will be able to run OV applications, as simple as that.
Wanted to ask about live casting.
Yes.
We're going to see more services included, not just Facebook.
Yes, definitely. We will see other social networks there.
Is that in the next iteration, or is that just something that can be pushed out?
It can be pushed out. We can add networks without having to majorly upgrade.
One other question, actually. I wrote a blog post because another person wrote a blog post about using zero data, or using limited data in different countries. 50 megabyte is $25, and that's it. And I wrote about maps. OV Maps using zero data if you sideload. So if you're pushing down updates, how does that work? Can you set it so that it only pushes down updates over Wi-Fi? Can you set it to...
Okay, the way how application updates are done on Nokia devices is not map specific, but going forward we have the application built-in application
Okay.
update. So we see, for example, on the N97, majority of users use the built-in software updater, which is a device-specific function, not a map-specific function to update. So, and to be honest, I think you can configure that it only works via Wi-Fi. Or it chooses an internet connection. If you're in your home network, the priority is your free Wi-Fi network.
Okay.
So we're not doing
Just
anything.
wanted to make sure so you won't be pushed in the most literal sense down.
No, it won't. It won't.
You hinted at this earlier when you were talking about the progress from Smart to Go to Fully Maps, but I was just wondering what it feel like to be part of this sort of revolution in maps. Is it sort of a fun? Do you enjoy your job? Is it fun?
Oh, for us, it's the ride of our life, to be very honest. And I think, again, January 21st, this would have been a good moment to retire if the next phase wouldn't be as even more interesting than the first phase. Because, again, I think navigation is the base case. That's the most obvious one, but also that's the one that is being most commoditized. You don't get excited by turn anymore, right? It works and it needs to be work reasonably well. Yes, an innovation will happen, but it's an evolution. It's not a revolution. Now the really the interesting game starts, right? All the social, hyper-social, hyper-local combination of those on top. This is where it gets really exciting. Three-dimensional stuff. This is where it's really start to get eye candy. For a lot of people, a map is a map and it's two-dimensional. It's lines on some colorful lines on a piece of paper or now on a display. But for us, mapping in context is really 3D and the digitized globe. So this is why it's getting really exciting now.
What are you most looking forward to maybe 5-10 years out? Can you give us
I hope I've been retired by that time.
Well, just yesterday, Ansi was talking. He was saying that he's viewing that location being the primary delimiter. And
no, Ansi is very radical. I think he's right. But in the end, first of all, Nokia is about connecting people. It always was, and I hope in the future it always will be. Now, the way how people connect is now raised to new dimensions. And if you really look what matters for people in their daily life, there are three-dimensional matters. One is time, right? Very essence. It's location. And the third one is other people. And combining these three dimensions in your life cleverly in something that supports you, this is what we're after. And yes, a map is one way to represent your context about location, but that's not the only one. But clearly, when you talk map in a wider sense, and this is how ANSI means it, as an abstraction where you organize and...
Stay tuned for more at All About Symbian and Mobile Industry Review.